doing. And that's what our Eigen Forum should prove. With or without money, we are ready to do it. And we are ready to commit. So I'm going to say, what is Eigen Forum? At the end, I'm going to give call out for action. And I'm going to ask, there are many universities present here today. Which of you can commit today? And that's exactly what I'm going to ask. So as I said, what's Eigen Forum? A forum of like-minded academic institutions, campuses, institutes who believe in Eigen's objective and mission, which is to convene, collaborate, commit, right? I'm missing one of the C's. So when we were thinking of the C's, we were having fun. So yeah, so we had the 5 C's. So who commit to the Eigen's mission? An interim plan for a period of 8 to 10 months, before which we are fairly sure that we'll be solid and we'll be paving the way. And it's also important, as I said, as Fauzia said it has to be an autonomous one. We already have a lot of complaints and mandated stuff that comes from the government. So Eigen should not become another government thing, though we get offers from government, from even academic institution. We will lead it, but we have to make it a sense of ownership for all. Eigen by all and Eigen for all. And that's how it should be. So everybody should have that sense that this is, otherwise there'll be one institution which will be running, which will do 3-4 items and showcase that we've done that and be done with it. It won't make a ground level change, and that has to be happening. So we need to have that 8 months time period, and we hope with all of you who join the forum will sort out this complex issue and then get us going. We have only 8 to 10 months and we have to get it started. So the interim plan is to ensure that we don't lose the momentum, because we started it last year and we had a dialogue, we had a survey. Now it's high time we do something about it and we just don't sit around. So we don't want to lose the momentum and we want to start it. So what can Eigen Forum do? At least say how many Eigen colleges should be a part of Eigen. To begin with, 10. Do you think that's a fair number in a country where we have more than 12,000 or thousands and thousands of campuses and colleges? I think that's a fair number, right? Not a very bad number. Start with 10. We start with 10, slow and steady. We start with 10. More are welcome to join if you want to join. We have no objection to it. Then we develop an action plan together, because it has to be together. But some suggestions are, of course, once we develop a plan, we distribute roles and responsibilities. Remember, this is pro bono. We are not going to be, it's all our effort. Are we willing to give our time and our effort beyond whatever we do in our daily lives, in our work? That's exactly what we need to do. So distribute roles and responsibilities. Develop at least a quarterly newsletter. That's a simple thing. I think we can develop a newsletter, we can develop a template. Students are wonderful. And I know one person who's wonderful. Argadeep passed out, I don't know when, 2019. And he's passed out and he's in Calcutta, but he has done so much for us. If I tell him, Argadeep, I don't know how to make this video, he makes it like that. Right? I don't know how he manages it. And he does a lot of stuff. So I'm going to ask Argadeep, can you make me a template for a newsletter? Just a general template. There you are. So our young people have that talent and they know what to do. So all we need is a template, and quarterly, somebody takes the responsibility of filling those templates, and at least we can begin with sharing what you're already doing. Yesterday, University of Meghalaya was sitting there, and we're going to have University Indoor Symbiosis also talking today. We have many colleges and they have been doing wonderful work, but who knows what they've done. He was talking about what they've done with the tribal community, and we said whole institution approach, and they are located in the green belt amongst the tribal community. And what have they done? When you hear it, it's wonderful. So it's high time that people know about it. So that's what we need to feature on our newsletter. We put in what we have already achieved. And I know here, Bhagat Singh has done. I know here, where is Poonam Kumaria? There, she's done. So there are so many more colleges who've done some wonderful work, and it is high time we start collating the material. So the Eigen newsletter could be something we share with what we've done. And Karina here, who leads a higher ed at UNEP, will help me with some more stories from outside, will help me connect with other networks, other such university networks. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. We can do, there is, wonderful. See, you're already talking, and that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. So it's easy. I think together we can start producing a newsletter. So once we get the newsletter, then at least we have something starting. We can, from UNEP side, we can try and conduct a few webinars, a couple of webinars, or call it a training or whatever it is on emerging issues. So maybe after COP27 happens and you want to know what India did or what are we committing to or whatever, so someone can tell you about it. Otherwise, we don't get that access to what is actually happening except in the newspaper, or you have to really browse in the net or something like that. So you can hear it from the experts themselves as to how the negotiations went, what are our challenges, whether it be on climate change, whether it be on anything, we can develop some kind of a webinar. A couple of, all it takes is 2 webinar, and Zoom doesn't cost us much at all, and we can do that. All of us have that, we can do that. So this is how we can start. These are just 2 of my suggestions, but I'm sure when we sit together and start planning, we can come out with many more actions. The next one. Okay, so what benefit? So I'm asking you to join. It's great. She's asking us to join for free. Are we not already overworked? Right? So what is in it for me or for my institution or for my college? Because without that, I know we are all basically selfish Homo sapiens, right? So selfish Homo sapiens, and we need something, right? So there you are. So ensure that your efforts and achievement through the newsletter gets shared nationally and internationally. It would be great if we can get Professor Sharma's work in the newsletter and we are able to share it internationally. Karina helps us share it internationally and people know what are we doing, or Poonam's story or Raman's story. We can get so many more stories and we can share it. So people then no longer think, is anything being done in India? That thought doesn't, because India is so big and so much work is going on. We don't realize, we don't put it together. We keep continuing to do. We run. We don't sit back. We don't document it. We don't put it together. And that's our weakness. We need to do that. The second thing is you can get updated. When we do the webinar, when we do something, we will try to bring in some good experts, some people to talk to you, right? So that you are there in the know-how of what is happening currently in the environment scene, right? And how we should change ourselves at the university level to suit that. That kind can happen. And of course, network. Today, you're all in this room and you're already networking. And imagine we can network so much more when we develop these newsletter and we spread it around and we send it around. So we definitely network to learn and share. So many more universities, locally, nationally, internationally. And of course, be the pioneers for setting up IGN. If you start the IGN forum today, whoever comes in, or the first 10 colleges, the 15 colleges who have the commitment to say, we don't care if there is no money. We don't care if that is not there. We are willing to give some hours to get it going. Let's take baby steps, but let's get it going. We will give in some time. We all talk so much about environment, doing this, doing that, that should be done, this should be done. But when it actually comes to putting ourselves out to actually do something, we back out to say, oh, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the time, we don't have the money, we don't have this. And then we start backing out. That's what we do. So today, the IGN Forum is about those people, those 10, 15 people who came when there was nothing. And I am 100% sure 4 years down the line, IGN is going to be somewhere. In 2030, it's going to be a powerful force. I know that, but I can sense it. I don't know if I'm going to be there, very doubtful, but definitely IGN might be there, right? So that should be there. And you guys would have helped it kickstart. And you were the founding people. And that's exactly what I want. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. And here, call out for action. whichever college. Arpan here, who is our project coordinator, who's going to take some of the college names. Anybody from this place ready to invest? There, Miranda House, Bhagat Singh College, a round of applause. And we have one person who's already shown interest, which is, I think, Jisha. Can you please connect online? She's there online.
Yeah, ma'am, can you hear me?
She's already said she's feeling very bad. She wanted to be here, but she's somewhere in Kerala. So she's really joining. I don't know.
Ma'am, am I audible?
So we know that Jisha has already expressed her desire and she wants to be a part of the IGN as well. So we have 3 colleges and we have Amrita. Oh, that college has now become the college, the news college. They have really done wonderfully and they've been in the news now these days quite a bit. So that's wonderful. So we have the Amrita College, we have the Shahid Bhagat Singh College, we have the Miranda House, and we have Jisha from St. Teresa's College, International College from Kerala. So we have 4 colleges. Oh, there you are. Indoor symbiosis in. Wonderful. Indoor symbiosis in. So that's it. So we've got all that already. I think we've got 5. Not bad. 5, right? Wonderful. So I think 5 more will be very easy to get. I don't doubt that there will be a problem, but yes. Terry School there. High five. So, oh, I think we're running out. Meghalaya. So we set 10, we've got 7. We just have space for 3 more, and that's about it. Okay, because we don't want to be too many founding members, right? So we work, we look at our steps, we think about what we want to do, how we want to do, and take our steps forward. So that's wonderful. I think with that, thank you very much, all of you. And I hope together we can build something. Always we keep saying higher education is not doing something, but we need to get together and do something. Thank you very much. And I hand it over to Arpan.
Thank you, Gayatri ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Fawzia. Thank you for underscoring that India's vulnerability makes it imperative that the university network convenes, collaborates, communicates, catalyzes, and commits towards positive environmental action to make sustainability a lifestyle for everyone. The roadmap for IGN is ambitious, but with collective action, this can be realized. So thank you. We also have with us Dr. Sam Barrett, who's joined us. He will be giving us a special address. He's joining us virtually.
Morning all, can you hear me?
Yes,
all
we
I
can
can
hear you. Loud and
Great,
clear.
I don't know whether I can beat Gayatri's energy or her enthusiasm or her recruitment talent. So I was sad not to be in the room with you there. So my name's Sam Barrett. Arpan gave me the prefix of a doctorate, which I'd love to have, but I can't claim. So I need to reverse on that. But I have the pleasure of working for you in environment and working with people like Gayatri, with Karina, with Arpan, with Atul, who I think may or may not be there, and Divya, in our UNEP office to work to see how we can work with higher education to not just provide transformative insights, whether it's new discoveries on malaria or COVID, whether it's new breakthroughs on technology or science. Universities are truly remarkable things. And I think what I want to start by saying is the world wouldn't be the one we have today without higher education and without the great gift of what universities bring to the world. But I also think the challenges that we face right now are like no other challenge we've experienced in history. Every single tipping point is starting to bear down on us, and the impact of these could be profound, not just for our present, but also for our future. I think what we're worried about here at UNEP is that unless we deal with a triple planetary crisis on pollution and climate and nature, all kinds of things could be about to go wrong. And I think what we're trying to do is work with universities as systems to see how we can support them to really think not just about what they teach, the research they bring and other things. I've got children in the office behind me. It's a Saturday, so forgive me. But also to see what we can do to really help universities really bring sustainability across everything that they teach. And so what we're looking to do, and which you'll hear in the sessions that follow me, is more about the work we're doing on nature positive universities, more about what we're doing on Race to Zero. But I think given that cities or universities are almost the size of cities, the impact they can have, I think, is remarkable. And I think it's untouched. And I think that universities are often quite conservative with their influence. They're very kind of keen to preserve things. They're very kind of nervous about being radical with their agency. And I think at the UN, often the same kind of charge can be laid at our door as well. But we think that working with universities and the next generation of young leaders is fundamental if we're going to give ourselves a fighting chance of beating the challenges that are on our doorstep. So what I wanted to say is just to say, I'm really sad not to be with you in India. It's a place that is deep in my heart, and we've not only done a lot of good work with universities, we've also got a program of 500,000 tide turners on our youth education program. We're also doing a lot of work across the country on green jobs that we're starting to get together as well. And so what I wanted to say today is I want to just lay out 3 challenges. Everything we have taken for granted, we can't anymore. India and just across the border in Pakistan is really seeing that climate is a crisis that's happening today, not tomorrow. Universities, I think, are fundamental in starting to hold a barrier against what might come next, and to really help try and alleviate the impact of those worst tipping points. So universities, I think, are fundamental partners that UNEP wants to work with in that challenge. And so I'd say that we need to think about how every faculty, every student, every lecturer, every professor, every dean can work with us just to make sure that sustainability is built into everything that we do. The second thing I want to say is that I feel like the skills agenda is one that we need to spend more attention to. I think a lot of work at universities is done on research outcomes, which is fundamental and very important, or certification of students. But students don't just need to be validated that they spent time at an institution and they have knowledge. They also need to leave the university with the skill sets and the mindsets to be part of the transformation we need to see in the green economy. Yesterday, we heard from a number of different significant thinkers around what the opportunities are for green growth, particularly in India. And I think having a skills agenda will be a big part of what universities need to be thinking about. So we're keen to work with universities across India on this transformation of skills. And I think there's a big part you can play there. And my third thing I would say is just to build on what Gayatri said, which is, I think we spend a lot of time worrying about not getting it wrong, that we don't give ourselves a chance of getting it right. And I think there can be a paralysis of overthink. So you need to write 50 pages when one will do. You can't do anything without the support of 10 people when actually you can do it on your own. So I think this is a moment of bravery. I think this is a moment of leadership. And I think this is a moment of risk taking. And universities, I think, have got some of the greatest thinkers and the greatest minds on the planet. And we at UNEP just want to work with all of you to take the risks that need to be taken now if we're really going to hold back some of these very significant challenges that are just not even around the corner anymore, but staring us in the face. So I really look forward to listening to the great ideas that we'll have over the course of today. I'm sorry for this brief disturbance from child one, but I think we're all family. I have one, I can't deny it. And it's really nice to see you in the room. So thank you for moving the camera around. I can see people over on the left, which is lovely. And I wish I was with you. So with some regret from Oxford, where it's cold and it's grey and it's British, and it's also quite sad after the passing of the Queen, I look forward to listening to the rest of the session. And hopefully we'll see you all soon in India in the coming weeks and months. I'm due a trip before the end of the year. And I look forward to meeting all of the inaugural members of the New IGAN initiative, which Gayatri has proudly signed you up to, and listening to the rest of the session. So over to, I think, Arpan for the next session. And I look forward to seeing what comes next. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And now we move into the second discussion. Our panelists will be looking at the Race to Zero initiative. Race to Zero is a global campaign to mobilize leadership and support from all sectors for a healthy and resilient zero carbon recovery. UNEP, Second Nature, and EAUC are representing the higher education sector in this race through the Race to Zero for universities and colleges. And so far, over 1,200 universities have joined the race. I welcome on the stage Ms. Karina Mastashil. Karina works in the Youth Education and Advocacy Unit within the Ecosystems Division at UNEP. Joining her is Mr. Saurabh Pranamya. He will be joining us virtually. He's the Special Advisor, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And Dr. Durga Kamath, who is Project Executive, Net Zero, Not Zero Campus. Over to you, Karina.
Hello, hello. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that intro. Hello, everyone. It's really nice to see you all here today. I'm Karina Michelli, and I work for UNEP's Youth Education Advocacy Unit. I'm based in Nairobi, and thanks to Gayatri for making it possible for me to be here today. It's really exciting to be in the room. It's been a long time of, as we know, virtual meetings and events, so really happy to be here. So I'm just going to start off the discussion by giving a bit of an overview of the Race to Zero. And I know we're talking a lot about what universities can be doing more of in terms of sustainability. And at UNEP, we have a few different programs and approaches around getting universities to go nature positive, which you'll hear a bit more about later, as well as the green jobs work that Sam was mentioning. And the Race to Zero is one of our core initiatives around decarbonization. So I'll just, are we able to pull up the slides on the screen? Yeah, as you're pulling it up, I'll just kind of get started to give you a bit of an overview of what the Race to Zero is. So you may have heard of this. The Race to Zero is a global campaign. It's run by UNFCCC, and it's focusing on rallying leadership from all sectors, including businesses, cities, regions, investors, and universities, to get them to achieve net zero. It's basically the goal of the campaign is to make sure that we build a healthy, resilient carbon recovery that prevents future threats, creates decent jobs, and basically unlocks the sustainable growth that we need. The Race to Zero for universities and colleges is overseen by UNEP alongside our partners EAUC and Second Nature, who do a lot of the work around the actual reporting from universities. And this is the official partner in the Race to Zero for higher education. Can we just go to the next slide, please? Actually, you can skip to the next one. Thanks. So all the members in this race are committing to the same overarching goal, which is to achieve net zero emissions by 2050 at the latest. Many have also made more ambitious targets, which is great to see. So some have set 2040, 2030, even 2025, which is great. And just to give you a bit of an overview, oh, sorry, can we just go back one? Oh yeah. So the way that it works is if you sign up to the Race to Zero, there's basically 4 steps involved. The first step is to make a pledge. So this involves at the head of the organization level to basically make a commitment, set a target to reach net zero as soon as possible, with 2050 being the very latest. And then this also involves setting an interim target of 2030 to show kind of the interim progress made, as 2050 is quite far away. Next slide, please. The next step is to plan. So basically within 12 months of joining, one needs to explain what actions one is going to take to achieve this goal. So this just involves kind of laying out a bit of an action plan. And again, you have 1 year after signing up to create this. The third step is then to proceed to take action. So this means just kind of getting going as soon as possible to actually deliver on the goals that have been specified. And then the fourth step is to publish. So members also commit to report on their progress at least once a year to show what kind of progress they're making. And again, for each of these steps, from the first sign up moment, you have 1 year to deliver on all of these for the first time. So that's kind of the overview of what a commitment involves. The criteria for the Race to Zero, just as a bit of background, is developed by an expert peer review group, which is made up of scientific and technical experts from around the world. So that's kind of how all of this is developed and also monitored. So far, we have had over 1,100 higher and further education institutions sign up to the Race to Zero, and collectively they represent over 10 million students. So that's a really important part too. It's not just the institution itself making the target, it's also the impact that they have on the wider student community and just the wider societal community around them. That's really has a lot of potential for impact. India has been one of the champions here as well. There have been 217 Indian universities that are part of this, representing almost 30,000 students. And this is via the Not Zero Net Zero campaign, which we'll hear more about in a minute. So that's really exciting to see as well. And then just a quick pitch is how you can get involved in case your university is not yet part of the Race to Zero. Joining the race is really simple. You can just go to the website that's listed here. And if your university already has a target, you just report on that. And if your university needs to set a new target, then that needs to be done at kind of the higher presidential university leadership level. And this is, I think, also where the student advocacy piece really comes in. So if you're a student who's interested in this and you're wondering what can you do, there's a lot that you can do in advocating for this with your university leadership. And we can help provide an official letter of invitation to your university. And then you can help to reach out to them and try and get them on board for this. Students are a really big part in making this actually happen. And there's some really great student groups around the world that are pushing this and really advancing this agenda with their universities. So I guess lastly, before we go into our conversation, I just wanted to say that together is where we can make the biggest impact. So you as a university, it's up to you to decide to take action. It's up to you to sign up and make a commitment. And it's up to you to tell us what your plan is. And then if you're able to do that, we on our end will make sure that we support you with resources on how you can build these action plans, how you can go net zero. And we will help to show commitment by providing a Race to Zero certificate so that you can also help to show what you're doing on a global stage. And we'll also keep you updated with ideas, opportunities that come up along the way of how you can reduce your carbon even further. And then all of us together can really come together and unite, represent the voice of universities and colleges all over the world and show the sector as a leader in this space. And we can also, when we come together, show global governments how they can support us in really advancing this agenda and why this is important to really meet the net zero goals. So that's kind of the quick overview of Race to Zero. If you have any more specific questions, feel free to come and ask afterwards. Happy to chat more about it in detail. But now let's just move on to talk a bit more about the context in India specifically to understand how this is actually being implemented in practice. So we have a couple of speakers online, I believe. Dr. Durga Kamat, project executive from the Net Zero campaign. And then we also have Saurabh Jain, who's a climate champion. So we have both of them with us today. And they're just going to share a bit more with us around how this is working in practice. Can I just confirm? Oh yeah, there they are, perfect. Okay, so let's start with Durga, if that's okay. Durga, would you mind just giving us a bit more of an overview of the Not Zero Net Zero campaign for those that aren't familiar with it, maybe? As it would be really great to hear a bit more about the context here and how this is kind of happening in practice, as well as maybe some of the challenges that you've been facing. So yeah, I'll just hand over to you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, let me first thank the organizers of the session and to Gayatri and to you, Karina, So here's a brief introduction about the Not Zero, Need Zero. But before that, I want to give a quick summary about Smart Campus Cloud Network. That is a network of 400 universities. And this Not Zero, Net Zero Carbon Neutrality Pledge is part of the Smart Campus Cloud Network. And the basic aim of the Smart Campus Cloud Network is to train the students in the university so that they get a practical knowledge about the SDGs and the activities are initiated in the campuses. So Not Zero, Net Zero Pledge is about carbon neutrality in the campuses where there are very simple steps and it is not at all hard. So the step starts with first the universities getting registered to the Smart Campus Cloud Network, then signing the pledge for carbon neutrality, that is Not Zero, Net Zero, everything is online, and then the action begins. So the action is first where we have the baseline surveys, then we draft the roadmap, and then we start the reduction of the emissions. And the roadmap and the reduction activities are all done by the students. So what we do is like first we train the students along with the experts. And for that we have partnership with the education sector, with climate change organizations and other organizations working in the environmental sector and some certification agencies. And along with them, we guide the students, we mentor the students so they can take the priority activities in their campuses. And then the activities are shared on a dashboard of Smart Campus Cloud Network, which we say that what can be measured can be managed. And that is the reason once we do the, we share the information, the knowledge is shared. And so the our progress towards the climate change is accelerated. And that is how the pledge is all about, where students are made train and they are the one who take the action. So it is all on basis of partnership and sharing of knowledge. And that's it, what Not Zero, Net Zero pledge is all about.
Great, thank you so much, Durga. Just another question for you, Durga, before we move on. I'm just curious, could you maybe give a bit of a sense of maybe a specific case study example or something that's been implemented in India that could help others learn about how this has been done? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, recently Ferguson College, that is in Pune, which is a heritage college, it has initiated the activities. So the activity started right from 2019, where they pledged to make their campus single-use plastic free. And now in 2022, their campus is free from single-use plastic. Recently on 27th of August, they had a cycle rally where the students, they mounted themselves on the cycles and they had a round over on the roads, representing that they are ready to transform their campus into carbon neutrality, and cycle rally was start to it. So soon, with the help of EESL and ASSOCHAM, we would be initiating the baseline survey in the campuses to calculate the emissions, and the activities will start right from energy efficiency to renewable energy and then carbon sinks. So that is one example of Ferguson College, and we are going ahead with it.
Great, that's really exciting to hear. Maybe if any other people in the room have more questions about specific examples and challenges, maybe we can direct them to you, Durga, if that's okay.
Yes.
Post-conference, just to get a bit more insight into how this works. Thank you so much. So next, I would like to please ask a question for Saurabh, who is a climate champion and has been working with C40, the cities as well. So the question I have for you is to basically look more at the connection between universities and the wider society. So do you have any insight around how you think universities could be more effectively collaborating with cities and their wider communities overall to accelerate the race to zero? So I guess kind of coming at this from more of a transforming society perspective, what bigger role could universities have within that? So yeah, if you have any kind of thoughts around that, it would be great to hear.
Right. First of all, at the outset, thank you for having me here. Just on the introduction bit, I am from the United Nations High Level Champions team, and I was a former. I'm a former special advisor to Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, Government of Maharashtra. I just wanted to put that in so that you know where I come from. Right. So coming to the question, first thing I think the audience should kind of realize, or all of us need to realize, is that the paradigm of climate leadership has changed, drastically. It's not about the national governments anymore taking action. It's about the cities, the subnational governments, and the institutions that carry the cities and subnational governments. Right now, talking about universities, uh, India is a young geography, right? And it's the universities where it's kind of the first point of contact for the students out there to really kind of come up with their leadership and engage with the governments at large, right? Uh, Today, let's say, I'll give some examples from Maharashtra for some better context, right? You have the city of Mumbai, and probably you have the University of Mumbai, or the city of Pune. Both these cities have committed to a 2050 net zero plan, right? Now, at large, the universities also, in some ways, are also committed to a net zero plan, and the universities say that, okay, we want to go carbon neutral, but can these universities together create a larger movement through its students network, coordinate and talk to their local bodies, talk to their city mayors, city councils as a group, as a cohort, and tell those leaders actually what is it that they want. Do they want better cycle tracks in their university? Do they want better pedestrianized roads to go to university every day? And you know single use plastic, like it was mentioned. And these actions together have a larger impact, not just in universities, but in the cities at large. And it kind of prepares the students to take up even bigger leadership roles in the future. So I think, uh, first of all, the students need to really set a high benchmark. Uh, uh, they should be taking up a larger role in our civil society, participate and create larger movements, and tell their mayors or city commissioners what is it that they actually want. My experience in the government was that at so many levels, these municipal commissioners or city mayors or political representatives don't even realize what is it that the youth wants, and sometimes the policy decisions don't come from them sure because of sheer ignorance, or because of not really understanding what is it that the masses want. And I feel that bridge needs to be fulfilled, or brought about by the students, and I think that's the role they need to play. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. I completely agree. I think what you said there about kind of students being the key in a lot of this is really important. And universities have such a big role to play in society. Universities are producing the next generation of leaders, politicians, business owners, etc. So there's so much that we can tap into if we really think about the bigger generational difference that can be made through all of this. I know that we are running tight on time. I feel like we could keep talking about this. I have so many more questions for you. But for today, we'll leave it there. If anyone has any questions, please do come and talk after the session. Happy to chat. And thank you so much to Saurabh and Durga for joining us online today. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karina, Saurabh, Durga. University, as Saurabh said, is the first point of contact for students to engage with governments at large. This call to action was critical, and I think the realization that the youth who are protesting, advocating, negotiate negotiating at the university today are the leaders of tomorrow. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind. Now, may I call upon Karina to the stage again to have a conversation with Dr. Emily Stott from Oxford University. Emily will be joining us virtually to have a conversation around nature positive universities.
Hello again. I think I'll just hand straight over to Emily to get us started, and then we'll come back to questions afterwards. So over to you, Emily.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be there. I wish I was there in person. I've put my Indian top as a kind of link to which I was there. I picked this up in Gujarat some years ago when I was traveling in India. So to introduce myself, my name is Emily Stott. I work at University of Oxford. Unfortunately, I'm not a doctor. I've got to take that away. I wish I had a doctorate. I work in the Department of Biology, the Interdisciplinary Centre of Conservation Science. But my background is actually in anthropology and sustainability, with a particular focus on textiles and natural fibres. But my kind of underlying fascination is the relationship between humans and our environment and what motivates change. Can I have the next slide? Thank you. So to introduce Nature Positive Universities, this is a partnership between the University of Oxford, United Nations Environment Programme, and the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So we are a growing network of almost 500 higher ed institutions promoting nature restoration on our campuses. And really echoing what Fazia and Gayatri was saying with the IGUN network, we're looking for transformative change on campuses. And I think it's a really exciting time for us to launch Nature Positive Universities alongside the IGUN network. And I really hope we can work closely together to kind of build on synergies there. So what we're hoping is that universities can step up as leaders, as Sam just said, bravely using their power and influence to affect positive change for nature. Next slide, please. So alongside the massive global challenge we're all facing of climate change and all its implications, we also have species, ecosystems and habitats shrinking and vanishing before our eyes. This graph I find sort of inspiring and upsetting at the same time. If you think now we're sort of at the start of this graph and we're on this downward trajectory, just losing species at a rapid rate. I think of the 8 million plant and animal species on Earth, 1 million of those are threatened with extinction, that being caused by human activity, such as agriculture, pollution, overconsumption. So our future needs to be both net carbon zero and nature positive. So nature positive being a global goal, yeah, thank you. Being a global goal, aiming for ecosystems and species to start to regenerate and become resilient. Yeah, next slide, please. So looking at a university, what we are saying that nature positive means is restoring the species and ecosystems that have been harmed by the impacts of the university and its activities, and enhancing the positive impacts on nature. So that's looking both at what happens on campus, but also all of those interactions involved with the supply chains, everything that we use to keep our universities running. So yeah, next slide, please. So we are inviting universities to make a nature positive pledge, and a little bit like the Race to Zero, this has 4 steps. The first of which is carrying out a baseline of biodiversity impacts, of looking at the species and wildlife present on campus, but also the key impacts of your university in the supply chains that supply it. And we will be providing guidance on how University of Oxford carried this out and a sort of step-by-step process for doing such a baseline study. Second step is setting smart targets. So it just targets for nature that are both time limited and measurable, that we can look back on and see, did we achieve that and what effect did it have? Thirdly, setting out bold actions and strategies to meet these targets. Finally, and importantly, reporting transparently on our progress. to encourage other universities, but also our communities, businesses, by universities sort of stepping up as leaders and acknowledging the impacts and reporting on them. We hope to encourage others to do the same. So next slide, please. So how to go about this? Well, University of Oxford, being a large institution with a lot of activities, set an ambitious target of positive impact on nature by 2035. And you might think, how on earth to measure something like that? So the way we carried out this baseline study, you can actually read the full study. There's a link there and we can send it afterwards. But we looked at collecting, especially purchasing data from all of the operations. So looking at all of our food consumption on campus, looking at all of the travel records for staff and students, looking at the new construction, the materials used, looking at all of the requirements for our offices and laboratories and lecture halls. Sort of measured all of those, collected all of that data, turned that data into a kind of midpoint impact in terms of impact to water, impact to air, kilometers of travel, all of that data collected together, and finally turn that data into a biodiversity impact. So what we found is that looking at everything that the university does, looking at Oxford, that for us, our resource use was by far the largest, which was surprising. We didn't expect, so if you think about all of the travel, the international travel that students and staff that are doing, and all of the building work and construction, it was actually our laboratory use, things like the plastics, chemicals, paper consumption, IT use, that had a huge impact on nature, sort of, but that not happening on campus, that being in the supply chains where those are produced. So we then looked, you can see that this picture you can't see clearly, but with the red and blue stripes, we looked at scenarios for reaching nature positive. So how do you mitigate that impact and turn it into a net positive impact on nature? And it's quite complicated to try and think what you could do. You can just see at a glance, if we use all of the land that University of Oxford owns and all of the land of its colleges, and converted that sort of nature restoration, you would still only get partway there. It still leaves a huge sort of impact of biodiversity that somehow, to reach nature positive, you need to offset. So next slide, please. So to work out, sort of plot a path towards nature positive, we are using a framework called the conservation hierarchy, which has 4 steps: refrain, reduce, restore, renew, in that order. So starting with refrain, avoiding anything that can be avoided, and then reducing something that needs to be there, reducing it to the level that is possible to keep the function. Finally, restoring damage that has been done, and then the 4th step, renewing, sort of reinvigorating, restoring the ecosystems to mitigate for the leftover impact. So we will also be producing some guidance on how we went about this and I think it's a really useful sort of framework. So now I'm going to jump into our network. So I think so far we have a network in India. There's about 60 universities have sort of signed up to be part of this program. And the first institute to boldly make a nature positive pledge was Providence Women's College, University of Calicut in Kerala. And I've just got a few activities that I can share that they've been involved with, but really the pledge is just the first step, making a pledge to carry out this nature positive journey. And you don't have to have done anything so far. So it's a pledge to work with us and over a year in the first instance to look at your impacts, set targets, report on your actions, and basically work together to share what's going on and really capitalize on that. So next slide, please. Yeah, and so finally, just a few more of the activities that we've heard about from Providence Women's College. They have a great initiative of putting QR codes onto trees on campus to educate students of their importance. And I think they're now doing that with all the new trees planted. They were telling us about the traditional feasts with plants and explaining the botanical history of the plants and their importance. Also using classical dance to represent sustainable development goals. There's some really interesting ways of communicating our relationship with nature and encouraging action on campus. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we have 5 ways to get involved. The first one, we are inviting applications for nature positive student ambassadors. And this will be a global network where students will meet online once a month with a sort of global network of students across the world. We're asking for 1 to 2 hours of your time to volunteer, but also that could very happily link with an existing student group to just really report back and share and be inspired by what students are doing for nature on campuses across the world. So this will be, we will be providing a student toolkit, and it might be things like partaking in nature restoration, whether that's tree planting or mangrove restoration or litter picking, or carrying out a bio blitz on your campus, which is a sort of short, probably a day, where you try and record all of the species present on campus using an app such as iNaturalist app. So yeah, we're inviting applications now for that. We've already had a handful from India, I think 5 from India, Chandigarh and Bhopal and Sonipat and Delhi, I think our first 4 Indian ambassadors, but we would love to have more. So the other way is making a nature positive pledge. I think anyone in a university can encourage their vice chancellors to do that and to work with their sustainability team if they have one. But also we can provide a letter, as Karina said, for Race to Zero, a sort of letter from us inviting your vice chancellor to make that pledge. And yeah, my contact details are there. You can also share what you're doing already as a case study that we would love to put on our website. And we will be launching an Indian hub, probably November, where just to share our journeys together, what we've done, what people are doing for nature, working towards making a pledge, and just sort of sharing our power and being inspired by each other. So yeah, really inviting you to join us and excited to link in with the IGAN network as it forms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. Despite our best efforts, we are running tight on time, but we really do want to have just a couple minutes to see if anyone has any questions. I guess just in quick summary, what we've heard so far today is 3 things that you can do as a university. You can join IGAN, you can join the Race to Zero, and you can join the Nature Positive Universities initiative, specifically the India Hub. So as Emily mentioned, we're kind of seeking some initial founding universities to help start this hub up. So you can reach out to us or feel free to come up to me after if you're interested. But yes, I see a question from Gayatri. Okay.
Yeah, very specific question. Okay, doesn't matter, my voice is loud. So they asked that we had such a lot of trees and a greenery within our campus, but then the student numbers, India, the population is high, and we have millions of students studying at undergraduate level. So her question was the admission, the number of seats we have to increase to accommodate the students who want to go to college. And when they increase the number within the campus, the area is fixed. So she was asked by the management, and she had to fight to get rid of a patch of greenery or forest from her patch. Why? Because they need to have a building there, or they need to build more classrooms there. So her question was, when I had approached, it's not my question, is that I would love to join Nature Positive Universities because that's something that I really feel committed to, and I feel for it, and I want to do something about it. But I felt very bad when this was doing, but I feel helpless. So what would you tell her?
Yeah, that just to echo, we're hearing exactly that, the same thing. I was speaking yesterday to a university in Canada, UBC, Vancouver, and they were saying actually it's the biodiversity department that's expanding, and they were saying we're going to have to lose a grove of old trees, and they were very sad about it. What can they do to mitigate? So I think yeah, we can. I think to have the voice to say we are a nature positive university, we shouldn't be losing this green space. But also, if you are losing some trees or some ecosystem, some habitat, to make sure that is replaced in some way. And we can provide suggestions on how to do that in in the best way. But just to share that it's very common. Also in Oxford, we're having all of the land around the University of Oxford, currently farmland, is quickly being converted into student housing. And so, yeah, I think just using our power to try and encourage our universities to make better choices and to use brownfield land when they can, not existing habitats. And also just to link up and sort of empower each other, that this is an important thing worth fighting for, to keep our precious green space.
Thanks so much, Gayatri and Emily. I think we can take one more question for now. Does anyone else have any other question about the Nature Positive University's work, or wants to share what they've been doing around restoration, nature on their campuses? Anything for now? Otherwise, I think we are all good, as time is tight anyways, but we would love to hear from you after the session, or whenever you have any other stories to share or want to join the India Hub. Just come and talk to me or send us an email. We'll make sure everyone gets the contact details as well. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Karina. Now, please may I invite Professor Poonam Kumria from Miranda House to talk to us about shifting behaviors on campuses through Little Book of Green Nudges. Before that, we're going to play a little video to take you through the... Oh, sorry. Facilitated by Dr. Fauzia Taranum from Terisas. My apologies. I'm giving everyone a doctorate today.
think you can just, yeah, it's gone into a loop. Thank you very much. And thanks, Professor Poonam, for joining us. Professor Poonam is a professor from Miranda House, and she has been involved in the Little Book of Green Nudges initiative for quite some time now. It's almost like 2 years. And it's an honor and pleasure for us to have you today amongst us. So since you have been a part of this initiative right from the inception of it in India, just wanted to understand from you that Little Book of Green Nudges, or the nudges, are all about behavioral change. So how important do you think behavioral changes are in terms of bringing sustainability on campuses?
Yeah, thank you so much, Fawzia, and thank you, Gayatri, for giving me this opportunity. And Little Book of Green Nudge is like a something during COVID. It was like a very positive program when students were at home and they were not able to come to college, and then they had something to do. So we started this program online only because 2 years they were not able to go anywhere. But believe me, I found it that they are my strength. Whenever I used to talk to them, we used to have long meetings, virtual meetings, and they used to come up with such a nice ideas and so innovative ideas. They created Instagram page, and then they spread messages, infographics through Insta, through Facebook, through WhatsApp, through emails. So that was very intensive work we have done for the 2 years. And we basically we focused on our principle, that is awareness, realization, and collaboration. What we have done a lot of awareness campaign earlier online, and then now we are doing offline awareness campaigns, talking about very small things which we don't take care in our daily life. We know, we are aware of it, that climate is changing, we are aware of it, that there are so many issues, but there is no realization that I have to do something, I must do something. Even I am also responsible for negative impacts on the environment. So very simple thing, that you have to switch off your light and fan when you leave your classroom. You have to close your tap so that water should not flow. These are very small things. Everybody knows about it. But we are all aware. If we have done, I think in the past 3 years, we have around 11 reports that is related, research reports related with LBGN. We have done surveys, whatever awareness programs we have conducted. For semester, one good thing I have done, that I have combined this program with the curriculum, where I have told my students that you will be assessed, I'll give you marks if you do this. Because I realize when I'm not doing this, the work is very slow. So that's why I'm able to have reports also in 3 years, 11 research reports based on our awareness programs. First, because it's a semester, so we have 3 months of awareness campaign, and the last 2 months we are doing surveys through Google Form. Right now also, because we have one objective of reducing material consumption. So we are totally digital, doing everything digitally. Whenever we have offline campaigns, we use old clothes and all the reusable materials or ecological materials, so that I think in one of the campaigns in documentaries, it has been shown in CNN also, in the transformer programs. The students are doing it so creatively that it is sometimes even I'm amazed when I'm out of thoughts how to do it, but then they come up, ma'am, we can do it like this. So it is
that's great to know. Just wanted to understand this LBGN book. It has got a set of almost 45 nudges, am I right? Yeah, so 40 nudges,
40 nudges.
40 amazing nudges, very little things that universities can do, or even schools can do it on their campuses. How useful did you find this book in terms of implementing these behavioral change?
Yeah, this is a very nice book, but all the 40 nudges is, I won't say that's applicable to my college or to my environment. So what we have done, we have taken out the specific cultural specific and geographical specific nudges that is important for my college or for my institution. For example, if you go for the food wastage, we realize, we have done this pre-surveys also, that there's not much food wastage when we talk of cafeteria where students are paying and eating. But there is a food wastage when we talk of a residential spaces, the hostel, because students don't like food, they throw it. Though we have vermicompost where we are processing all the food wastages, but being a developing country where people are dying due to hunger, from even plate, if it is going to dustbin, I feel it is a wastage. So so we try to find out things, what are the issues, how can we solve it. We talk to the students. First, we identified the issues, we talk to the students, what solution they want to have if they think that there's a wastage in the hostel. When they are spending their own money, there is no wastage. So we try to not to highlight much more on wastage. We try to highlight much more on the sustainable diets in the college. And then this last year also, we have done surveys, the consonance surveys in the university in different canteens also. And this is
that's
the way we
interesting.
proceed.
Yeah. One last question. You know, we have been talking about, yours is a government university, and finance is always a challenge. So how are you really, do you face that, that as an impediment when you're looking at implementation of nudges or behavioral change, or you're able to really identify options, within the university setup to do it?
Right now, I think I haven't faced any challenge in terms of a finance, because we are doing many things digitally. And my student from the first batch, when we started in 2019 against SUP, and I remember it just clicked to me, and I talked to the union, I called them and I talked to the US president and the union that I want to implement this, and the session is over now. So how can we do it? But we were organizing farewell parties because everyone was graduating. So the idea clicked that let's ask everyone not to use plastic, single-use plastic. Many of the students in the different departments have already bought the things, but they agreed to our plan. They say no to it, and they bought other disposables for their party, not using plastics. So what we did, then we thought that we must give them some incentives. We were all talking about it. So I spent from my own pocket because certain things are like, you don't have time to think about it because it's a very small amount. So you done it. Now you do it digitally. Whatever you want certificate, I'll give you a certificate because it's a digital. So the money, if you want to do something, money is not a matter.
Yeah. So
you can find.
Yeah, that's a very good message. Take away from the Miranda House example that, finances can never be a constraint, if you have the will and the desire and a passionate teacher, like Professor Poonam Kumria. So thank you very much. I think just quickly, we were supposed to show these slides in the beginning, but while they were being pulled up there, we didn't want to lose on time. So we had been engaging with UNEP on the LBGN initiative, also alongside the IGAN initiative. So in December 2021, we did an online workshop on building sustainable campuses, where we actually discussed on rainwater harvesting and conservation in college campuses, energy efficiency, sustainable food options in canteen, and campus waste management. That was followed by another webinar. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so this was another webinar that we held on 15th March, and that was on, again, sharing good successful case studies that are there. And then we also discussed on the behavioral change in campuses for sustainability, where we had other stakeholders also, the CE, WWF, and Wipro Foundation, who came up and discussed this with us. On that note, thank you very much. And thanks, Professor Poonam. We would have loved to talk to you more and know more about the great work that you're doing. But I'm sure it's available on your website, and it's for everybody to check. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And now we swiftly move to the final leg of the session. May I invite on stage Ms. Gayatri Raghwa, Professor Raman from Sri Bhagat Singh College. May I have on stage? Oh, I think it's done. You can use this one. I can use this one. No, later.
All right, we are to the last point, right? Yesterday I promised I'll finish it early, but we did not start at 2. I think people were enjoying the sweet dish too much. So we're just quickly going to do it now. And thank you, Professor Raman. There you are. Right. Thank you, Professor Raman, Professor Prithvi, for joining us in this session. So this session is all about, we keep talking sustainability. What is a sustainable university? How is a sustainable university like? So this session has to be really quick. What we're looking at it is first setting the national context, and then looking at some global best practices. So in the national context, my question are all very simple. We have 3 universities from 3 different places. We've got Shahid Bhagat Singh College from Delhi University. We've got Professor Prithvi, I think he is the Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis in Indore. And we've got Vice Chancellor from University of Meghalaya. So you've got the center, the north, and the east represented. And unfortunately, I don't have anyone from south. So we have 3 colleges, so they can give their perspective on how regionally it is. So my first question is, well, we are setting the national context. As I understand, the NAC or we have, for the people or for those who are listening from outside, we have 2 bodies, which is the University Grants Commission, known as the UGC, and ICSE. These 2 bodies technically control all the colleges or all the campuses come under them. So the technical institutions are answerable, are accredited through the ICSE, which is the technical accreditation kind of body. And then we have the UGC, which gives accreditation to other universities that are not particularly technical, but have other academic courses. So as I understand, NAC stipulates, even whether it be it ICSE or whether be it UGC, as far as I understand, it stipulates a certain regulation, right? It mandates certain compliance from universities. So what I would like you to highlight, Professor Raman, is what is it that you need to comply with in Delhi? What are you required to comply with in terms of environment and sustainability within your campus as a matter of law or as a matter of rule? That will be my question number 1. And the question number 2 is, have you been successful in complying? And do you face some challenges? Do you need some support? So, and we need to keep this really short. So I would like a very concise answer. We want questions to be asked from here.
Thank you, Madam Gayatri. The UGC's mandate over past 2 decades had been to, after a court's judgment, it came that a paper of an environmental studies for a 6-month course should be compulsorily offered to all undergraduate students of the university and colleges in India. This was continuously been told many a times, and some universities took it up. As per University of Delhi, in 2014, they brought up this thing that all undergraduate students will have a course on environmental studies. And on that paper, in that morning, one sub-theme was on environmental practices, where they put it concept of sustainability and sustainable practices. I'll not go further from that. It is being offered compulsory for all students. It was first as a qualifying. When they thought that the students are not taking interest, they made it to be assessed for grades also. Today, with the new education policy, Delhi University is taking up a new curriculum from this year. And in this new curriculum course-based framework, they have again brought the paper, but now it will be in 2 parts, one as environmental science and other as sustainable development, which will be taken by the students in 2 different semesters. Seeing that this, okay, because I remember Dr. Fazia specifically mentioning, when you just put it as a course, the student just wants to study it for 6 months. And after that, once passed the course, is not really taking much from that. So not very practical approach. They do have some project works and all that they do it. So what further to that, this is there. The national, as said, assessment accreditation, NAC has brought that in their criteria, in their aspect, the 7th criteria talks about social responsibilities and initiatives. In that they have how much is eco-friendly is your campus, environmental consciousness and sustainability based on energy initiatives, then initiative taken by the institute to make the campus eco-friendly, any 2 best institutional practices. So all that slowly to say, talk about values and ethics to make it more environment friendly. Campuses have worked on that. Some of them were already doing it, so there was no problem. Some are not even in their own building. There are various problems, challenges to be faced. As Dr. Fazia also mentioned on the challenges, I don't want to get into that. Yes, all efforts are being there to do it, but then whole institutional approach is missing out there. So if they agree to do that, maybe it will come up. And the financial support. Yes, that's one thing. When the students on their own, when they want to take up activities, particularly to do it, there are some hiccups on that. They are supported financially through the colleges. I can only give my example of my college, wherein the students also take up these issues as an extracurricular activity. So those who are very much keen, interested to work on, they get up and join these societies. There are different society enactors, NSS, which also do some amount on environment, but then the environment society or the eco clubs, which are there from the Department of Environment, Delhi government supported, colleges and schools have it. And through the eco club, they do a lot of activities for which they also, students also, I know that even because I am experiencing my own, it's called Haritkram. And that society has done from 2012 to till date, has done a lot of activities. Another two flagship events, which one is the Model Unia, they conduct every alternate year, and Delhi University Sustainability Forum. There's a forum in which other colleges have also joined, and they organize National Youth Conclave. And that conference, school students of the high level school, and then college, postgraduate levels, initial research students, they all joined at a single platform to debate on to different topics. They have always taken on environmental sustainability, particularly addressing the sustainable development goals. For this, they also go for outside sponsors, organizations, different organizations to support them as kind for it, and put a lot of efforts. This approach, and then a lot of sustainable practices, as Professor Poonam also mentioned about different, like in Miranda, every college does a lot of activity. But beyond that, for them to share the ideas and all, such conferences do help them. For this, they have put a lot of efforts, and as it became online in the last 2 years, what happened that we have entries from all India. We had entry from all the way from Kerala also. So a lot of institutions are taking part. More than 45 institutions took part in the last one. Here I have few undergraduate students who have come along, who are going through that whole idea of knowing how things are happening. For this, if I say that they are those students who joined online, and for the first time they came back in March 22, and now here they are physically there to interact with others, to know what's happening on sustainability.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Raman. And I think we will now go to Professor Prithvi to tell us a little bit about Central India. And you also, I presume, come under the same UGC and under the same rules. So if you can highlight more than the rules, now that we know what the rules are asking, which is a compulsory course, and it's in 2 parts, it's environment and then sustainable development, 2 parts. And then they're also looking at your compliance in terms of operations, which is whether your university is, what is it doing about energy? What is it doing about waste? What are the 2 good practices that your university is operationally managing in terms of environment, and they can be shared. All of those things apply to you as well. In addition to whatever he said, could you highlight a little more, maybe your university's example, and also you were speaking on behalf of all central universities?
Thank you, Gayatri Madam. Yes, we are more learned today, sitting amongst you all, learning that, yes, how do we all become more aware about the nature, about the environment, be more about environment friendly. This is the one aspect lacking in the university setup. It's my frank opinion. Professor Raman had rightly pointed that, yes, as a academic curricula, after implementing the new education policy, a course has been implemented, introduced regarding the environmental studies, regarding the human values, even the Indian Vedic studies. So that part we are all doing, part of the university, but yes, awareness, initiatives, self coming forward, taking care of the campuses, taking care of the nature, taking care of the environment is still long behind in the university campuses. Part and parcel, something we are doing here, something we are doing there, that's all happening. As a student club, as a university initiative, we are all doing that. Even we were surprised, okay, from the central government, we got a notice, being a independent institution in the larger geographical area, the kind of the groundwater we are extracting, we were given the notices to report back and to minimize, to optimize the groundwater uses. That's a very welcome effort by the government to put the self restrictions on the universities and the institutions, particularly those which are large institutions, like we have the 50-acre campus and have the 10,000 students on the campus. So for us, being responsible to manage the groundwater uses was not a concern, not a relevant point even before receiving that particular notice from the government. So this is a welcome step by the government to put the self restrictions on the institutions to use the groundwater uses. Likewise, we have to be more responsible. We have to have more awareness in the campuses. Okay, students moving around the campus, taking food in the mess, they behave completely different than they take the food in the cafeteria when they pay. So these are the ways we have to make them responsible. And yes, today I'm more aware about these different initiatives which the international bodies and the other networks are taking to push forward these environmental and the sustainability issues in the campuses. Certainly, once we will be going back to our campuses, we would motivate our students, our faculty to become the part of these groups so that they are self-motivated. They also motivate the society. They also motivate their neighbor to be more responsible towards the sustainability, towards the environment.
Thank you, Professor Prithvi. Thank you. That's very well stated. Thank you so much. And now on to, we heard a lot from, in fact, we were very impressed with what Professor Sharma was doing at the University of Meghalaya, but that was yesterday in the context of green jobs. But today, in the context of our conversation, just very quickly, if you can sum up, university gives you, I mean, the AICTE or UGC gives you certain rules and regulations to follow. Will you follow them? Is it just ticking the boxes when we follow? Or are we really taking it seriously from internalizing it? I was telling you when we started this thing in 2019 in ICSE, the conversation that I was mentioning, that was the fight between the students and the teachers. They said, oh, we've got the course, we get this, so Fazia may remember, we get this PDF document and we read it and we give the exam and we run away. We don't bother. I mean, is that the way we do it? And students got up and said it, and the professors got angry with the students for having said it. So, and that's why I'm being a little disruptive. Sometimes you need to be disruptive to find out what is it that we need to do. Because all the time, if you're going to be saying everything is working good and we've done this, we've done that, we do so much in our university, that's all great. But you've got to also find out where we lack. What is it that we must work on? Where is it that we are lacking? And this is about identifying that. So quickly from your university. Yeah.
The Professor Professor Raman has already told, I will not repeat, because not only UGC, as per the Supreme Court, at undergraduate level, environmental science course is compulsory now. So there is no choice. Because if we simply take UGC, there is choice of 20% variation we can do. But here there is no choice. So this is very clear. Each college, each university And if under university colleges are not following, the action will be taken on university, not on college, on university. So that is clear, very much. Now, we were doing many things through NSS activity, through the clubs, but these were not counted as a formal education. That was the difference. So many students now, they want to do anything. What is the benefit of doing this? That is important. Benefit means what benefit? In terms of marks or grade. We have, as per UGC, that either marks or grade for each semester, 18 to 20 credits are necessary. So 6 semester means if we are following 20 credits, so 120 credits. If it is 4 years degree now, as per NEP 2020, 160 credit. Now what we have done, whatever they were doing by interest, make it as a course into credit. As Imli has told, Dr. Imli, if you see her, this one, that 1 to 2 hours per week, if you do, 1 to 2 hours means it is following exactly the credit. What is credit? 1 hour per week. That is credit. 15 hours in a semester makes 1 credit. So if you follow this, the same activity, it can replace your course, the core area course. If UNEP tell like this, convert your this activity also into this formal. It will not be hundreds or thousands figure. For India is nothing. I must say it is peanut. Where we have 136 crores population, and you are talking like Europe, few thousands. It will become crores, I can assure you, because it is going to be the formal activity under NEP 2020. So again, I will request that it should be implemented. Delhi University has implemented. We have followed some same scheme of Delhi University, but one step ahead, because Skill India has just brought out the uniformity of skill courses now. So maybe because we had on 8th of September from Delhi University representative in Assam, they will be revising this there. So what is more important, what we have done, how we have included? We have taken 20 villages surrounding our university as adapted villages. Though we are getting maximum rain in Meghalaya, as you know, the name itself says the house of cloud. And maximum rain in mud is in Meghalaya, that is in Cherrapunji or Mausan Ram, what we call it. But during 3 months, no water. So we call it wet desert. Though maximum rains, but no water during this winters months. So this part we have taken in university as an example to do the harvesting, natural harvesting, not putting roof because so much water is there. But to take this hilly water block. Within campus, we have now many this water sources where we have introduced duckeries and other things. And also now new aquatic biodiversity has emerged.
Wonderful.
So this is also part of our academic activity, not only just university is doing and we have got some fund from some source like UNIP. Of course, we have not yet received any fund.
Unfortunately,
But what I am trying to say, that fund should also be sustainable.
Exactly.
That is what I am trying to say here. Not only to give the report, published report, so many reports are available, but what about their availability, sustainability? This activity will be sustainable. Even our alumni coming after 10, 20 years, they will say they were involved in making this. That is our purpose, that the environmental education should be sustainable, and also it should now be as per our traditional knowledge. The traditional knowledge is there in Northeast, as we know, because 220 cultures, more than 200 languages within a small area. You just imagine how it is possible. So it was possible only because the scientifically they were not knowing why they are doing, but they were doing for sustaining the culture. So we have brought as a part. Now, what other things we have done as a forest product? Somebody was telling. I will take few minutes only
because there are two more people
Yes, yes,
waiting.
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think I will answer their questions also when
No.
I am speaking.
Okay.
But they can, they will ask. We have the mushroom as a forest product. Make mushroom culture as a course. We have made, because of the diversity, the APA, we have 6 species of the bees. So one of them we have given to the students, do it apiculture. Organic farming, all these are part of our now environmental sustainability. We have implemented as a part 40%. So we must thank the government of India that they have taken actually feedback from ground level, not from UGC, etc. UGC was doing from 1956. They could not bring this kind of policy. It was because of involving ground level people. They have made suggestion that the education should be like this. That is why it has come. Not only now 40%, it is going to be 100% as per the need and potential of a student. So that's all.
Wonderful.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much. So we are getting a sense of what is happening in different parts of India. And it was good that we have 3 different parts of India. So now we look at some of the global experiences. So I would like to invite Aisha Al-Mazrui to share about how they work on sustainability and environment in their campuses. And Aisha, if I could ask you to quickly go through it, because we want, as I said, people to ask questions. If we say everything, then people don't ask questions. So yes.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Aisha Al-Mazrui. Thank you for hosting us, Gayatri. And just pulling up the presentation. Okay. So I'm just going to talk about one of the initiatives that that Environment Agency Abu Dhabi. It is part of the government. It's a government entity under Abu Dhabi Emirates in the United Arab Emirates. And it is dedicated for youth, campuses, and colleges. Can you please move to the next? Yes. So Sustainable Campus Initiative, it's an initiative by the Environment Agency Abu Dhabi, sponsored by Buruj, and it has 3 main goals: to empower youth, to become pioneers of change, to change their community, as well as tackle environmental issues and empower them to instill leadership capacity, as well as strengthen their skills in this field. Next, please. So this initiative targets the national UAE agenda, specifically first-rate education. Next, please. And it also targets international goals, sustainable development goals, goal number 4, goal number 12, 13, and 14. Next, please. Okay, so this initiative has 3 main components. It has the Green Campus Audit, and it entails reducing the footprint and increasing the handprint. This involves a tool used by students. They calculate how much they have, the resources is being used in their campuses, meaning as energy, waste generated, water used per capita, green areas increased, as well as the climate impact. Next, please. Then there is Sustainability Action Project. It's a community-based outreach project, and it involves detecting an issue in the society outside the university campus, and then working and having action plans to do an intensive community outreach project. The third component is Green Youth Majlis. So the first two components are particularly for university and college students, but this is for youth in general. They sign up to be part of Green Youth Majlis individually. So it is basically a space for university, for students to look into local issues and have events, activities to tackle these issues and help prevent them or reduce them. And they are mainly, we mainly refer to them as agents of change. Next, please. So talking about the results of Green Campus Audit and Sustainability Action Project, and I give this big credit for Gayatri because every year she comes to Abu Dhabi she comes to Abu Dhabi and she handles 2 different workshops, schools workshop and universities workshop. She's coming inshallah next year. And usually she delivers a workshop daily basis, 4 hours workshop. So thank you so much, Gayatri. Talking about the achievements, 1,276 students from colleges have been trained by Gayatri and by Ashish. I don't know if Ashish is here, he's not. Okay, and out of that training, 102 reports were delivered to us. Okay, also focusing on Green Campus Audit, universities have reduced per day 80% of water, 50% of energy, over 50%, and over 90% of waste due to this. And they have increased around over 35% of green areas. Okay, so as mentioned previously, that next. Okay, we as a government entity, as an initiative holders, we support universities by all means. So all the components has guides, has intensive guides where students and educators can go through this guide. It's a big book actually that has all information. I give credit for Gayatri. She was the one who has written this book. Thank you so much, Gayatri. We also support them in terms of sharing a newsletter monthly basis. We also support them even when Ms. Karina talked about the initiatives, we support them by facilitating UNEP to the students and universities. So they are part of the few initiatives that you have mentioned, Race to Zero and Nature Positive, yeah. Next, please. So part of Green Youth Majlis, we have around 180 members and 700 members or 700 participations were done with volunteers since 2015. And then they have participated in more than 43 events with a total hour of 1,580. Other than that, we also deliver environmental workshop. COVID was a struggle for us, but we decided to take the struggle and intensify our work. And on monthly basis nowadays, we have environmental talks where we host different experts. So hosting youth who talk about their experiences, hosting experts from different organizations. Next, please. Other than that, we have a podcast. We try to to expand in a way that we see youth's interest and we try to tackle and take the opportunity of their interest. So podcast is something that youth are interested in. This podcast, this is the first season, which was published last year. Now we're working on season 2. We're planning to have 5 seasons. Thank you. And it hosts around so many experts in the Environment Agency, Abu Dhabi, and outside. Another thing is Badr App. I think Ms. Poonam, Dr. Poonam, mentioned that we often take for granted the practices that we do on daily basis. The small thing like closing the faucet while brushing your teeth is something that should be taken seriously, because over the years, it brings a huge impact. So we've done a survey to see how much youth are aware and what actions do they do. So we found out that youth are highly aware of environmental and sustainability issues, but in terms of action, they are so low in terms of, if you're gonna compare them, there's a huge gap. So in the efforts to tackle this challenge, we have launched an app. It was launched this year. It's called Badr. It's a unique mobile application that encourages the community to apply environmental practices. So as Ms. Poonam also said that when you open the faucet, when you close the faucet, and this is something that few people do. I hope many people do this, but it's something to be recognized. So this app allows you to take a picture that you have closed it. I know it's simple, but it is something that makes a huge difference. So you take a picture that you have closed the faucet, and then you earn points. After earning points, you get to have free stuff from different vendors, free stuff or offers or so on. And we have around 23 vendors from 7 different themes. Themes are conserve, reuse, move, and many more. Switch, I think, yeah. Next, please. Also, regarding the tools that we use, as I mentioned, we have newsletter, we have our social media account. Please follow us. You will get to know more. I think we're running out of time. Thank you very much. I'm done. This is, sorry.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Well, you flatter me. That was my previous avatar that she keeps selling, because you know that before joining UNEP, I worked with the Environment Agency Abu Dhabi for many years, and that's where the whole thing happened, right? Yes. So that was a little bit of that avatar now. Okay, so we're now going to, we've looked at the national context, we've looked at some global examples. So we have an idea, what does sustainable university mean? So they've got a sustainable campus. So this is all, they feel that all this is what the sustainable campuses are doing or should be doing. And here we had Professor Raman, Professor Prithvi, and Dr. Sharma saying the same thing, that they're all different, right? So I think you raised a very important point, Professor Prithvi. We're doing a lot of activities, but there's still a long way to go. So the idea that I try to say, let's be disruptive, is not to be negative, but the disruptiveness is to look at, it is easy then to fall into an illusion we've done it all, and we're all doing it. Or yeah, the SCI, we've done that. We are reporting on a regular basis, or we've showed you how much of water we reduced, how much of what we reduced. So we are doing it. So aren't we all great? So it's easy to pat one's back to say that I've done it all and I'm so great, and walk around. But it's very difficult to have a hard look at it. And if you've been doing it all by now, I think we shouldn't be in the condition that we are now with the climate change, with everything that's happening, right? So the idea here is to also have a hard look at what more needs to be done. So what does a sustainable university actually mean? What should it all comprise of? And do we have Sam here? 1 minute. Do we have let me just connect virtually to the person, and then
Gayatri, I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. So you wanted to ask a question. If you can keep it really fast.
Actually, according to your questions, universities and students, universities are doing for themselves, for their faculty and staffs. They are nothing doing for students. They are nothing care for students about their quality of education and their employment and future of nation. They are doing nothing.
I see the passion in you, sir, and I like it because there has to be some voices which shows a certain thing. Any student here wants to say something? No? Okay. So anyway, we know that there is something between there and between there. We have to fix that gap. We have to fix the gap, whether it's a gap of perception or whether it's a gap in reality, we don't know. But we need to fix that. So over to Sam. Sam is going to talk to us about what does a sustainable university mean? So over to you, Sam. You can take it forward. You are muted.
Yeah, no, I was searching for the button. So I don't think we've got time to go into this in detail, but we've been looking at all the different frameworks on sustainability for universities. And what we've done is taken the best part of each one and tried to simplify them so all universities can think about the journey they can take on this. And I would say that action on this agenda isn't static. It's not like you just have to do this. It evolves. And what's interesting, just building on what Emily said from Oxford, is there are lots of surprises. So Oxford could say we are a nature positive university and we can plant lots of trees. But if your lab facilities are drawing down massively on nature with the waste and the different products they need, then the trees that you're planting aren't making the difference because you're not kind of compensating for the impact of your supply chain. So there are four basic areas. One is what can you do on environment and climate? The other one is what can you do with people and society working within your community? The other one is administration and governance. And I think this is where it's really important to get different parts of the university on board. And the other one is training and research. And so we've spent some time just to bucket out what is a leadership like on those four areas. And what we're going to be doing is using this template as a trial with IGEN and to see if it works in India. And if it works in India, then I think we'll be very happy. And then we'd like to adapt it and use it in other locations as well. And so what we can then do is start to look at universities and just look at them on different levels. So what does kind of hero leadership look like? What does strong compliance look like? And what does first steps look like? Because I think it's very easy to be unnecessarily competitive when what we need to be is totally collaborative and getting lots of best practice that we can all learn from, as opposed to saying, this is what I do and here is my ego and it's attached to this project. And I think that's often quite unhealthy. So we're trying to unlock it to make it a process where everyone benefits from each other's actions, as opposed to it being owned by the few. And so I would say, Gayatri, the framework, I don't think we've got the time to go into the detail of that on this call, but Karina and Gayatri are in the room, and I'm sure they can both open their laptops and run you through that framework, because I think it's really good, and we want to see what more we can do in India with it. Gayatri, just noting the time, do you want me to wrap up the session, or is there anything more you want to say before I move to that part of the agenda?
We can wrap up. I think there will be another session to, what's the time like, my dear? Yeah, I think they would want to have the room for another session. We need to finish it. Is there a session or a plenary now? Okay, so the plenary, I think 15 minutes to a plenary. So you can wrap it up. But before that, what we will say is all of you who want to know the sustainability framework that Sam is talking about, which UNEP has developed, it's more like a guideline. It's not something that is written in stone that you need to follow it, A, B, C, D kind of a thing. But it's a guideline that tells you what does sustainability mean for a university. When we talk, I mean, people, you can talk about youth activity, you can talk about operations, you can talk about various things. But sustainability is all about everything. So you can have a look at the framework. Please sign up with Arpan here. And what I can do is I can send out Arpan will send out that the framework to you immediately. All the colleges, whoever signs up with Arpan will get it, right? And you can then have a look at how the competency, and then it's more like a self tool. So you look at it and you look at what all we've done and what all we need to do more. That's about it. And Sam, thank you. And I think it'll be great if you wrap it up with your...
Yes, great. No, thank you. Thanks, Gayatri. I do enjoy working with you. So just first of all, just a massive vote of thanks for everybody that's there in the room. I wish I was there when I'm not, but I thank you for coming, whether you're online or whether you're there, that's great. And it's really good to see friends from Abu Dhabi there as well. I learned a lot from the speakers today, and there's a couple of things I made notes on. And I really liked what previous speaker said around the little book of green nudges. I think it was Fauzia, which is what we produce is never perfect, but it should be good enough to help you make a start. And what the UN can do, which not many others can do, is we can put an arm around your shoulder and walk with you. We can give you the validation that your leadership matters, and we can hopefully get others to walk with you on that journey of leadership and help you go faster and further than you think is possible. And so I think our role is not to tell you what to do. It's not to tell you necessarily how to do it, but just to walk with you on that journey. And I think at the UN, I'm proud to work for this organization because there's only one organization like this in the world, but we cannot do everything. And our role, I think, is to point to the path and hold the torch and then walk with you on that journey. So I think I would like to say that there is no such thing as a stupid question. And we're here to help answer and work with you on lots of different things. But really what we need more than anything is leadership and activity. The only way we work out if we're getting it wrong is to get something going, and then we learn and go. And so I just wanted to say that's the way that we work. We're packed full of imperfections, but we're packed full of energy, and we're here to work with you. I want to also thank the Mobius Foundation, because without their generous support, this event wouldn't be happening. I'm sure there's more that we could do together. Because I think I always like to do events, but then also check in with everyone that came to the event in, say, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months time. And Gayatri, I'd like you and I to work on this, which is to send an email to everyone to say, what did you take away from this event? Then in a month's time, what are you doing differently? What help do you need? Then 3 and then 6 months time to see where people have got going. Because this event should be judged on what happens over the course of the coming months. Not that we all came to Delhi and we sat in a room together and talked about it, but then did nothing off the back of it. So the only metric for success is action, not discussion. Because I think the UN has a great reputation for talking, but we do also have a good reputation for doing. So I think we want to create some accountability off the back of this event. So in a year's time, when we come back together and hopefully I can be in the room with you, we can say, wow, IGAN has 100 members and it's achieved this and this. We've learned from the work of the students, which has led to this, this, and this. And we're seeing a shift in the behavior of Indian universities. And what we need to do is just get to that magic 25% of the tipping point. And when we get to that tipping point, then it becomes a norm. And then everyone gets competitive about why they're not doing it, rather than those celebrating what they are doing. And so I hope all of you enjoy what's left of your Saturday. Thank you for giving me the chance to say a few words. It's nice to see gentlemen on the stage smiling. I hope others are as well. And I look forward to coming to see you in Delhi, hopefully in a few months' time. And Gayatri, I'm going to hand back to you and your magnificent energy, smile, and charisma to say what happens next for everyone in the room. So thank you very much. That was a really great session.